everyone. Welcome to the Kickoff Fitness Challenge. I'm so excited to have you guys here. My name is Carla Porter. Many of you guys have already been to a lot of our sessions, so I'm super excited. We're gonna kind of wrap up, and putting together a lot of the things and a lot of the concepts that I've shared with you ladies. It is a very interactive workshop because we are making it a challenge, so we will have winners. So I'll explain all that in a minute. But really quickly, because I really do want to help you guys set up for success, for the whole entirety of the challenge. It's going to be a 3 months challenge. So each month, this is month one, okay? So each month we'll be covering something new that will help you progress into the next step, okay? So really quickly, because I wanna make sure I protect everybody's privacy with some of the questions that I'll be asking, if you guys on your chat can open that up and make sure that it's directed, the responses are directed towards me only. I'm gonna give specific indications as to how to set up your own nutrition program in this call as well. So I want to make sure that I give you guys, if you guys have, one of the things that I'll be asking is if you guys have a specific clinical condition. So I want to make sure that, like I said, I protect everyone's privacy. Just make sure that those answers are directed towards me. So I'll give everybody a minute to kind of get started with that. I'm so excited. By the way, guys, throughout the entirety part of the challenge, if you guys would like to schedule an appointment with me because you're having some trouble or whatever, you guys are more than welcome to do so. So we'll go ahead and have the link available at the end as to where you guys can do that. Perfect. I'm just gonna wait. I know there's a few more people trickling in right now. And all righty. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna admit one more person in. Perfect. Okay, so this is how we're going to determine the winners of the challenge. Today, we're gonna kind of line up what are called our baseline numbers, so our starting point. Remember, and this is not, we're not comparing ourselves to each other. We're just trying to improve. Yes, it is a competition for those of you guys that are encouraged by that. But if you're like Carla, I don't like to compete with anybody. I like to, be my own competition. Then I'm gonna give you guys also a way in which we're going to be doing that. Okay, so there will be 3 winners. Okay, the winners will be based on actual weight loss on the scale number by percentage. The reason for that is because when you have more weight to lose, okay, you will lose more weight at the beginning. Okay, and if you have less weight to lose, less body fat to lose, right, you will lose less at the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the ratio of that. And I know some participants may come in, so they may watch the recording or they may come in later in like mid-month one, right? But I want to honor you guys that are here present today. So if you guys, and I'm going to take really quickly notes, if you guys in the chat can let me know what your starting weight is if you know it. I'm gonna... Waiting for those answers to kind of trickle in. Just going to take a quick note of that. Super excited. And don't worry, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm starting here. Don't worry. You guys are in safe hands and a safe place. I want to make sure that, like I said, I cater to all of you ladies. So this is so exciting for me. It brings me back to the days where I used to teach group fitness classes way back in the day. And just taking a few more notes on those last people sharing their starting points. Good. And just taking quickly on that one. The headphones. Oh, so yes, if you know your starting weight, if you can also put that on the chat. Height doesn't really matter for this one. So yeah, we're gonna just take weight into consideration. And don't worry, I will be explaining what happens to your weight on the scale. So this is one of the reasons why weight by itself, it's not going to be the only determinant of who wins and who doesn't, okay? Our next indicator or our next winning sector is going to be the strength and endurance. So if your strength and endurance improves, and how, depending how much it improves, right? And we'll kind of walk down step by step as to how we're going to determine that, right? That's one of the reasons why I asked you, ladies, if you guys were asked to wear comfortable clothes. So in case that you guys want to do that today, at the end, I'll definitely kind of stay behind to help you guys walk through that. If you're like, Carla, I'm driving and there's no way I can pull over on the side of the freeway and do the strength test, don't worry. You guys can I believe you guys have also access to the recording. And then one of the reasons why I want to go through this is how you do that on your own at home. Okay. So perfect. And then the last winning sector, the last plate, well, not the last plate, but like I said, we're testing you guys in 3 different areas, is going to be nutrition knowledge. I'm going to be sharing a lot of nutrition education today that I will be asking, I'll come up with a little, post survey based on the information that I gave you guys today. So if you guys, whoever gets the top score on that, will go ahead and win that part. So yeah, we're preparing those prizes for you guys, and so it's going to be really, really, really good. Okay, all right. So thank you guys for everybody's information. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about the strength test. In the strength test, I'm going to share my screen. So you guys, I know some of you guys are visual learners. So if you guys can, give me 1 second. I need to share this down because I will be also where did it go? All righty. Oh, here we go. Share sound. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. So the strength test, we're going to test you in 3 different areas: upper body, core, and lower body. Okay. The upper body, you're going to test yourself and see how many push-ups you can do in a row without stopping. Okay. If you have to stop and kind of catch your breath, cut it off right there. Okay, we're gonna go by the honor system, so you guys can determine that. And like I said, if you guys would like me to do that for you, then at the end we can go ahead and do that. You can also do assisted push-ups. We understand that people's upper body strength may be at different levels, right? Some people can do a lot of push-ups, some people can't do even 1 push-up, right? But so if that's the case, don't worry. We can also do what are called assisted push-ups. Some people call these knee push-ups, right? So that's totally fine with that. And I actually want to pull up so it gets recorded so you guys see that. Okay. I want to show you what an assisted push-up looks like, because we want to make sure that we do them properly. And remember, you guys are just putting your baseline in place, right? This is neither good nor bad. It's just your starting point, and everybody's starting point is different. Okay. So I want to make sure that you guys can go ahead and do that. And I don't know why my video is taking a little longer to load. I'll come back and do that, and we'll go look at that in just a second. Okay. So sit-ups. Okay. So sit-ups is going to determine your core strength. Now, your core is made up of not just your abdominal area, which is in the front, but it's also encompassed of your what are called your obliques, so the sides, right? So sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I have a little top muffin. I'm not talking about that. That's the excess abdominal fat that we have. But yes, in that area, right, in the sides, those are called your obliques. In your core, you also have your lower back, which is, if you guys have seen people wear like those belts when they weightlift, technically they are mimicking their core. Okay, if done properly, right? Unless you're an Olympian like weightlifter, right? You technically shouldn't need that kind of belt if you are in fact strengthening your core to the level where it can withstand that amount of pressure, that amount of weight coming down on itself, right? So the way we're going to test this is by doing sit-ups. So these are not just the crunches. These are the sit-ups where you come all the way up and go all the way down. The reason for that is at every part of the angle as you come up, a different part of the core gets engaged. So we want to make sure we measure the full strength of your whole core. Okay. Now, if sometimes, right at the beginning, if you're not used to doing them, you might need somebody to anchor your feet down to the floor. Now, if you don't have anybody at home that can do that, you can do one of two things. A, you can slide your feet underneath like a couch or something like that that can kind of hold you down so that you can come all the way up and then all the way down. Or you can do a timed plank. Okay, the timed plank, you can just set a timer and just see how long you can do that for, and then we'll determine. This category will have like 2 sub winners, right? Because we're going to have one for the sit-ups and one for the plank, just in case you don't have access to the other one. Okay, now the squat jumps. This is going to determine your lower body strength. Okay, then let me show you guys what a squat jump looks like. This one did load properly, so let me just show it to you guys. Okay. So notice how her feet are shoulder width apart, or maybe slightly bit wider. Notice how her feet specifically are straight. This is really, really important, ladies, to protect your knees. Okay. Notice how her elbows are kind of coming really, really close to that, to her knees. Do you see that? Some people, they're like, true go-getters, and they're like, I'm going to make sure those elbows really touch my knees. If that's you, then hey, by all means, high 10. That's a double high five, right? So let me play it again. And there's another thing I want to highlight, especially when she goes sideways. So if you guys look at her, she's not leaning too far forward to where her butt sticks up. Okay, she's making still a diagonal line from her head down to her tailbone. Okay, this is really, really, really important to notice. Okay, and once again, just do as many as you can, and then you're gonna go ahead and write that down. Okay, like I said, at the end, we're gonna have a section where you guys are gonna tell me your numbers. You guys can do the strength test without showing your screen, or if you would like me to look at it, I can definitely do that. But I will be asking for those numbers at the end. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, setting up your strength program, and this is what we call it, a strength or endurance challenge, right? Because they both kind of have go hand in hand, but the amount of repetitions, the amount of times that you do a given exercise will affect how you end up looking. And in a 3-month span, that is quite a bit of substantial times where you can start changing what's called your body composition and the way your figure looks. So I want to make sure that by the end of the challenge, you either achieve what you're trying to achieve, or you're well on your way to achieving that. Okay. Now, and this is where a lot of people often come to me and say, Carla, I'm toned, I like where I'm at, but I don't quite look like I want to look just yet. Okay. A lot of the times those people, sometimes women, right, will end up going into fitness group classes in which the amount of repetition of a given exercise is not really measured. Okay. And what I like to call them, they end up looking, with a Franken body, right? So their upper body might be bigger than they like, their lower body may not be where they want to be. And that's because at a specific rep range, your body will behave very differently. Okay, so let's go through that. That way, as you guys are setting yourself up to, if you guys go to a group fitness class, I'll let you guys know how you guys want to modify that group fitness class. So that way it leads towards you, A, winning, and then B, you looking the way you want to look, okay? Now, so if you guys look at this chart, okay, and the part that it's highlighted in yellow and in bolded, that's where that effect is highlighted in that given repetition range. So for example, if I wanted to increase just my strength, I want to keep my repetitions between 2 to about 6. So let's say I wanted to make my legs stronger, right? Then I would want to make sure that I keep my repetitions, let's say I'm going to the gym during this time, okay? And let's say I'm doing the leg press. Well, I would want to keep my leg press with as good, really good form, and then lift as heavy as I can between 2 and 6 repetitions, okay? Now, if I wanted to do power, like a lot of us don't really want to do this, but this is more for Olympian athletes. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that, but you can see the rep range where that would be in. Okay. Now, if I wanted to do hypertrophy, so hypertrophy, it's a scientific term for muscle growth. So if you want your muscle to grow in any particular area, right, and this is going to be your including your glutes, your arms, your shoulders, like anything like that, right? You want to make sure that you look at this rep range. Now, if you don't want to grow in a specific area, you also want to pay attention to this rep range. So for example, muscle growth, okay, it's enhanced or it's seen, the major effect is when somebody does anywhere between 6 repetitions to up to 12 repetitions of a given exercise. And let me give you guys an example that I often encounter with my women that I train. Let's say you want bigger legs or bigger glutes, right? Well, we will stick to hip thrusts, right? Single leg RDLs, glute bridges, or anything like that, and do those exercises 6 to 12 times, okay, with as much weight as properly possible. When I say properly possible, it is with good form. So if at any given exercise, you're jeopardizing form, then it's too heavy. Bring it down a notch, okay? Now, if you don't want to end up with bigger muscle in a specific area, right, that's where you want to make sure you pay attention to that too. Let me give you guys an example. I have a very rectangular body shape, okay? I usually don't want my shoulders to be broader than my hips, right? So therefore, my shoulders, I usually don't work out between 6 to 12 repetitions. So anything like a shoulder press, right? Like a lateral shoulder raise, like a front shoulder raise, like anything like that, I don't stick to this area where I could either see a bigger effect or even a smaller effect. I normally keep my shoulder presses down to the minimum amount where I see the least amount of effect seen that. Okay, you guys see that? Okay, so I really don't want front shoulders, so I, and I don't even kind of, stay in there. That's what for my shoulders, my upper body, and this includes my triceps. I naturally hold more body fat in my triceps than anywhere else in my body. Okay, and that's a genetic thing, right? So because of that, I don't want to add any size to this. So my tricep exercises, I usually like to keep around between 16 to 20 repetitions. Okay, all right. So this is kind of give you guys an idea. Now, muscular endurance. Okay, so notice how this test was called the strength and endurance test, right? That's because if you look at here in hypertrophy, remember hypertrophy is the muscle growth, right? There's a secondary effect seen, not as big as this one, right? But still kind of, happens in here in this repetition range. So between 13 to 16, right? But in here, muscular endurance is also seen, right? So for example, some people will say, hey, Carla, I want to increase my stamina, right? Like I'm preparing for, a 5K or a half marathon, right? In that case, outside of your training, running program, right? And whenever you do resistance training, we would want to keep your repetition range anywhere between 13 to up to 20. Okay. Notice how towards the end of the 70 to 20 repetition range, that's where you'll see that the most effect, but the least effect on muscle growth. Okay, so really, really important for you ladies to know that. Okay, so specifically, like I said, because some of you guys might say, hey, I'm going to have, a day of upper body, a day of core, and a day of lower body, because those are the areas that you're being tested in, right? So we would definitely want to make sure that, you align the exercises that you choose. Now, if you guys have, questions about which exercises to choose for what, go ahead and schedule an appointment with us, and we'll definitely help you guys through that. Okay. All right, so this is the one that's going to take probably most of our times, but I want to make sure that I go through this properly. I'm going to show you guys how to properly track your food so that it leads to weight loss and specifically fat loss, right? But I'm going to show you how which foods you use will also impact that number. Okay. And along with the training. So at the end, I'm going to wrap everything up because this is, the number one thing that will be testing you guys' weight loss. But if your weight doesn't change, you're like, well, Carla, that didn't happen. That's why we give another 2 categories. And I'll go over some of the things as to why maybe that weight may not have changed. Okay. So this is where make sure you guys have directed your in the chat your responses to go directly towards me, nobody else. I want to see if anybody has any clinical conditions because the numbers will differ for you guys, and I'm going to walk everybody step by step on how to do this. So I'll give you guys a few couple of minutes to make sure those answers go through. Good. I'll wait for those people coming in. Okay. Perfect. So for those conditions that are coming in, dealing with like diabetes, perimenopause, menopause, what I'm gonna call your guidelines in the video right here is going to be for those that have insulin resistance, because perimenopause, PCOS, menopause, diabetes type 2 are all categorized by that insulin resistance that affects when which your body breaks down carbohydrates. So I will give you guys and to my people that have menopause and perimenopause. So I will actually make a difference because there's a slight difference in which your body will actually react to certain carbohydrates. Good, good, good. Okay, perfect. Okay. All righty. Okay, so I see a good, good. Oh, okay, we have an autoimmune. Okay, so for my autoimmune Hashimoto's, I want you to go completely gluten-free. Okay, so your body can still break down carbohydrates, just make sure they're gluten-free. Okay, the science shows that that will give you the best response to handling carbohydrates. Good, good, good. Oh, I see a gallbladder removal. So for you, love, I'm gonna give specific instructions at the end. Okay, so I'm gonna go through. So I'm actually gonna. I'm gonna do this, and this is why I wanted to have. So I'm actually gonna go over perimenopause, menopause, PCOS, and menopause. I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys, because I'm gonna give you guys even more detailed stuff. My Hashimoto's person, you can still do the regular stuff just with different, and then I'm gonna go, gallbladder. All right, there we go. If there are any more conditions that come in, I'll go ahead and address this at the end. Perfect. Okay. Alrighty. So first and foremost, we're going to, and if you guys are writing this down with me, I'll go slowly. Okay. If I'm going too fast, please let me know in the chat. Okay. So I want you guys to write down your current weight. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna say, and I'm just gonna use an example of 150. Okay. Okay. From here, we're going to determine your what's called your target body weight. I'm gonna call this TBW. Okay. Okay, now there is so this is the weight that I want you guys to be by the end of month 1. Like I said, it's a 3-part series. So come month 2, we're gonna come back and show you guys how we're gonna calculate for month 2. Okay, and how to know if we need to make any changes. Okay, so this is just going to be for the next 4 weeks. So here's how you calculate your target body weight. So and the reason I say that is because let's pretend my overall end goal is 120. I can't go from 115 to 120 in 1 month. Well, you technically could, but it'd be very unhealthy, right? You would really be doing damage to your metabolism and your hormones in your body, especially as women. We're very, very sensitive to caloric drastic caloric changes. Okay, so let's say now research shows us that we can change anywhere between 0.5 to up to 1% of our total body weight. Okay, now most people don't want to go for that 0.5. Most people want to go for that 1% in total body fat change. Okay, in total, I'm sorry, total body weight. Okay. So the way we're going to do that really easily, and this is like a mathematical thing. If you guys are like, I'm not a math person, don't worry, I'll help you. Okay, so my 150, right? It's technically 150, 0.0. We're going to move that decimal 2 places over. Okay, so the most I can lose, and this is to calculate what you're going to lose in a month, but this is what you can lose in a week. Okay, it's 1.5 pounds. Okay. All right. Now in here, right, we're gonna multiply this by 4 because there are 4 weeks in a month. Okay, and I'm just going to bring my handy dandy calculator. 1.5 times 4, it's just 6. Perfect. You guys can, the reason why I want to use actual calculators instead of, I want to make sure I try to go at the same pace that you guys are going. And I want to make sure I don't mess up on the numbers either. Good, good, good. Okay, now we're going to take that current weight, so my 150 in this case, and I'm going to subtract what I could potentially lose in 1 month, right? 6 pounds. And that's going to give you my target body weight at 144 pounds. Okay, so that's going to be my target body weight. And we need this to calculate how many calories, how much energy we need in a given day. Okay. All right. Going forward. Okay. So now this equation is going to be what you're going to need for your daily calorie intake. Okay. All right. And it's going to be your target body weight multiplied by the cofactor of 9. And you're going to add your training hours. Okay, and I'll show you how we're going to calculate our training hours. I'm going to put an acronym TRH for that. Okay, this part, make sure you guys are very, very honest with yourselves about how much you guys are thinking about working out through the month. This is, I want to say, the single most factor that I see impact this number, where people go, oh yeah, I really wanted to work out for 5 days, but realistically I could only work out for 2. Okay, because this equation will take in consideration how much calories, how many calories are needed for the given workouts that you're putting in. Okay, so it's really, really, important to be honest in here. Okay, and we're going to get even more honest in just a little bit. Okay, all right. From here, so let's say I say I'm going to work out for 4 days per week, 4 hours each, in 1 hour each day. Okay, this is where we need to get even more precise. Now, out of that hour, are you going to be working out the whole hour, or are you going to be warming up for like 10 minutes and cooling down for 5, which then in reality, you're working out for 45 minutes? Okay, that's my usual protocol. Like I usually tell people, do like a 5 to 10 minute warm up and a 5-minute cool down, right? Which then people end up working out for 45 minutes. I'm going to multiply this by the 4 days out of the week that I'm planning to work out, right? And 45 times 4 is a great question for my calculator. 180 minutes. Okay. I'm going to divide this by 60 minutes because there's 60 minutes in 1 hour, and I'm adding the hours, right? So divided by 60, and that's going to give me 3. Aha, 3 training hours. Notice how this is different than the 4 that I thought I was going to do. Okay. Any questions so far? I want to make sure that I'm not losing anybody. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat as we go. I'll wait a minute for any questions to come through. Okay, so far so good. All right, let's go ahead. So now we're gonna plug these back in and plug this one back in here. Okay, so my my target body weight, we said it was going to be that 144. Okay, multiplied by my cofactor of 9. Into this, I'm going to add 3 training hours, which is going to give me 144 multiplied by 12, which is another great question for my calculator. It's 1,728 calories per day. Okay. And I'm actually going to show you guys how to input this in a tracking app. I'm going to show you guys the app that I recommend for you guys to use is called Cronometer. So if you guys want to download it on your phone as we speak, I'll show you. I'm going to actually show you guys how to input these new numbers. Up to now, this is the most accurate database that I've seen out there. The different, I know a lot of people are used to using MyFitnessPal, but the way MyFitnessPal gathers its data for the nutritional data for each food is that it grabs the average of what all its participants have put in. So these participants may not necessarily be dietitians. Okay. I've seen really interesting inputs in there. I've seen a cup of broccoli have 15 grams of protein, and I'm like, man, that must be one super broccoli because I've never seen I've never seen a broccoli have that much, a cup of broccoli have that much amount of protein. Great question out there. I see where does the cofactor 9 come from? So this equation comes from a dietitian that is really well known called Alan Aragon. He's really well known in the sports nutrition industry because this equation takes into account how active you are, the cofactor of 9, right? And it takes in consideration your training or your workout time. The equation that is mostly used in other databases, including Chronometer, including MyFitnessPal, is called the St. Gerard-Mifflin equation. Now, if you guys don't know that, that equation is the equation that us dietitians use in the hospital setting. Okay, you guys are not in the hospital, right? That equation gives you the cofactor to use whether you're in bed or out of bed, but that's it. It doesn't take into account your training amount, your training days, your training hours. So for us folks that are out here in the general public, living our lives, this is a more precise and a more accurate equation to use to calculate your energy needs, your calorie needs. Okay. All righty. Okay. Great question out there. Okay. Now, this part we're going to get even more honest, okay? Because I want to make sure because after this, I don't see you guys for a whole month, okay? The number 2 mistake that I see people do is that they try to eat this every day and they don't take into account the weekends where they want to let their hair loose a little bit and have maybe a cocktail, a glass of wine, a burger, some pizza, right? And this is where a lot of them may not achieve that weight loss because yes, they're consuming 1,700 calories Monday through Friday, right? But then they're also consuming 2,000 calories on the weekend, right? So now, if you're somebody who wants to let their hair loose for 2 days out of the week, and it could be any 2 days, it doesn't have to be Saturday and Sunday, right? But 2 days, okay? I would recommend that you bring this down by around, 200 to 300 calories, depending on where that calorie range is. I'd say 200 calories is a really, really good bet because what we're going to do is we're going to grab the calories from Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, and we're going to allot those for the weekend, right? And I'm moving a little bit, I'm keeping the Friday ones, right? Because I want to go ahead and make sure if by the end of Friday, I want to have a glass of wine with my dinner, it doesn't affect me, okay? But remember, you want to make sure you put that in your Chronometer database also, okay? So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So Monday, so if I reduce Monday through Thursday, my calories by 200, okay, I now will get 1,528 calories per day, Monday through Thursday. Okay, now I will also get 200 calories times 4, which is 800. And these calories are going to go towards the weekend or my 2 days. Okay. Now, some people want to include Friday in here. So if you do, I'm going to give you 2 numbers. Okay. So let's say you just want to do Saturday and Sunday. Well, you're going to take the calories from Saturday and Sunday. Okay. So I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to leave it here. I don't lose you guys. So the 1,728 times 2, Saturday and Sunday. Okay, which is another great question for my calculator. And that's going to be 3,456 plus my 800 that I moved over from the weekend or from the weekdays. Okay. And that's going to give me a whopping 4,256 calories. Now, you can divide these on your weekend however you want, okay? This is the part when people say calories in, calories out. Yep, that's exactly. As long as you don't go over this total, when you add up your calories for Saturday and Sunday, you will be fine, right? Now, some people, they're like, Carla, but I want to know exactly how many I can have Saturday and exactly how many I can have Sunday. If that's you, let's just go ahead and divide these by 2. And that's going to give me 2,128 calories. 28 calories. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm going to highlight this and bold this number is because, let's say you track your food Saturday and Saturday you had a birthday party and you had, you went to happy hour and whatever, right? And you actually went a little higher. Let's say you went, 2,900 calories, 2,700 calories. Well, that's fine. You just deduct that from this total amount, right? So the 4,256. Okay. Now, let's say you want to count Friday as part of your weekend. You're going to do the same thing, right? So you're going to take, but instead of doing it for 2 days, you're just going to do it for 3 days. So let's do that really quickly because I know a lot of my patients have actually done this, right? So I want to make sure that you guys have that. So I'm going to do that math really quickly for you guys. 1728 times 3. Okay, so that's going to give 5184 plus the 800. That's going to give me 5,984, right? Total. So if I want to divide this by my 3 days to know exactly how much I can have each day, it's going to equals 1,994 calories each day, each weekend day. Okay. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions so far. Otherwise, we're going to go into the macronutrients breakdown. Okay, all righty. So now I'm going to go back and calculate my days. Now, for going forward, I'm not going to address the weekends because on the weekends, the only thing that I would like for you guys to hit is hit your protein. Once you hit your protein, right, as you track your food, and I'll give you guys a little tip at the end when we get to that part, to logging it on Cronometer. The rest of the calories are freebies. You can use it on alcohol, you can use it on fats, you can use it on carbs. So, let's say you wanted to have pizza and wine. That have added as long as you hit your protein before you have that pizza and wine. Okay, so that's how we'll kind of move forward. So I'm going to calculate the rest because Monday through Thursday, right, those 4 days, will have a greater impact than when we consume those 3 days, right? Or if you're doing 5, those 5 days cannot outdo what you do in 2 days, but they will have a great impact. So I'm gonna focus on that. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna do my 2 days, right? So I'm gonna go with blah blah blah. Monday to Thursday. Perfect. So I'm gonna go with that 1528. Okay. Oh, and I just realized something. So I'm gonna put protein. Okay. So notice how in here I didn't include that Friday. That's because if I'm gonna have, like Friday dinner, I'm gonna have a little glass of wine. I'm still gonna stick to my 17, but that might be a little bit over. Okay, so I want to make sure I make that difference, that I didn't make that account. But I only calculate for 2 days on the weekend. So on Friday, I still would want to have the 1528. Okay, it'll give me that little bit more of a buffer towards the end of the day to have that little glass of wine, but it would still would not affect my numbers on the weekend. Okay, all right. So now my overall, and I'm going to go here, overall calories. I'm going to highlight these because I'm going to come back to these. Okay, protein. Okay, and this goes for everybody with every clinical condition. Okay, I want your protein intake to be 1 gram for every pound of your target body weight. Okay. All righty. Now, so for example, my target body weight was it 144? Okay. Or actually, let me give you guys more precise numbers. Really quickly, can you guys put in the chat how many days you guys are planning to work out? I want to see if there is a high difference between the two numbers that I'm thinking about, because that one will make a difference. Good. Good. Okay. Okay, good. My goodness, you guys are go-getters. For my 7-day people, make sure one day is of either to regular rest or active rest. Okay, you will burn out, and it's not good for your body. Your body does need an extra day of rest. Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so for my 7-day people, right? 6 includes with that 1 day of active rest. I do want you to go 1 gram. For everybody else that put in their numbers, I want you guys to put 0.9 grams of protein for every pound of your target body weight. So I'm gonna do this one with you guys. Okay. So in my case, it would be 144. Okay, and I'm gonna multiply this by 0.9. Okay. And that's another great question for my calculator. So let's do that as you guys do yours. And make sure you guys multiply by 0.9 and not 0.09. That's a mistake that I often see people do. And I myself often make that mistake sometimes. So in this case, my number was 129.6. I'm going to round down to 129. Okay. Grams of protein per day. Okay. Now here, I'm going to bring my handy dandy calculator. And I'm gonna put it up here. I'm gonna put a little table. You guys can put this on any part of your piece of paper. Okay, so I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, bloop, bloop. It's gonna be my protein, my carbs, and my fat. These are gonna be in calories, and this is gonna be in gram. What you put down here is what's gonna go in that Cronometer tracking app. Okay, so in here, the 129 of protein, so that's how many protein grams I'm gonna consume per day, 129. Now, protein has 4 calories per gram. So whatever grams of protein you have in here, go ahead and multiply that by 4. I'm gonna go ahead and do mine. So mine is 516. Okay. Now, here is where things differ a little bit. So I'm gonna do everybody that doesn't have any of these. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back to these people. Okay, so because now we're gonna calculate your fats and your carbs. Okay, but first let's do the fats. Okay, so one of the main reasons why I tend to prescribe a lower fat intake of food is because fat has 9 calories per every gram. So not because you can't lose weight with more fats, but it's easier to bring down your calories by decreasing your fat intake. Okay. The dietary guidelines for a low fat diet or a low fat approach is going to be anywhere between 25 to 30% of your total daily calories. Okay, I'm gonna go 30 because I don't want to go too abrupt, but my total daily calories, you guys remember, I was 1528. I'm not gonna put that 1528 here because you guys will see. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh my gosh, nobody has ever taught me this. This is why when I've been tracking my food, I haven't been tracking properly. Okay, so 1528, okay, times 0.3, which is 30%. That's another great question for my calculator. 1528 times 0.3. Okay, it came in at 458.4. I'm going to divide this by 9 because there are 9 calories in 1 gram of fat, and that's going to give me 50.9. I'm going to round down because I want less, I want to be in a calorie deficit, right? So I'm actually going to go 50 grams of fat. Okay. So in here, I'm going to go 50 grams of fat. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply this 50 by 9 because there's 9 calories in 1 gram of fat, and it's going to give me 450. Okay. Now, in order to calculate my carbohydrate intake, I'm going to add up my 425 plus my 516, and I'm going to subtract it from my total to see how many calories I have left over for carbs. Okay. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to go carbs now. And I'm just going to highlight this in bold. I'm going to underline it just so I can, okay. So we said that it was going to be the 450 plus 516 in my case. Okay, you guys are, remember, I'd be a little bit different. Okay. And in my case, my difference comes out to 562 calories. Okay. I'm going to divide this by 4. Okay. Because that's how many calories are in a gram of carbohydrates. And 140 grams per day. So it came down to 140.5. I'm going to round down to 140 grams is what I'm going to go for here. Okay. 140. And I'm going to multiply the 140 times 4 because that's how many calories are in 1 gram of carbs. And it's going to give me 560. Okay. So these numbers right here, this is where we're going to put in our Cronometer database. And I'm going to show you guys how you guys are going to do that because we're going to override the numbers that the app is going to give you. Okay. Because we have a more accurate equation than they do. Okay. So good job, everybody. Okay. Now I want to double check on my math because the total calories that you also have to put that in Cronometer. Okay. And I want to make sure that I show you guys how to do that. So now we're going to add up the calories of the 516, the 560, the 450 to make sure it gives us this amount. If it gives us something different, then we're going to correct that and we're going to put that in our total calories in Cronometer. So 516 in my case, I'm going to add all mine up. And it actually gave me 1526. Okay. All right. Okay. So for those of you guys that that downloaded from your app store the Cronometer number, we're gonna go ahead and go there and open it right now. If it asks you to set up everything up and you are like, oh my gosh, I can't, I can't do all of this right now. That's okay. This is why you guys have access to this recording. But I want to show you guys where you can also go. If you guys go to my YouTube channel, and it's the Virus Wellness YouTube channel, okay. In here, I've pre-recorded already a video for you on how to use Cronometer. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I shared my sound, so it should work for you guys. But this is how I want you guys to do things on your phone. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and play that really quickly. Okay guys, once you get the app, you are going to, this is how you're going to put in the macronutrients that I give you. Once you register with Cronometer, and don't worry about the breakdown of calories, fats, and carbs, and everything like that, all the macronutrients that they give you, because I give you a more precise numbers based on your goals, based on your height, weight, goal body fat percentage, and all of them. So once you go here, go to the bottom at the right hand corner, you'll see the 3 little dots that say more. Go ahead and click on that. In here, you are going to make sure you don't get an ad. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. Okay, in here, you're going to go and go to your targets. You're going to start off with at the top with the energy settings. Here are a few things that don't worry about the defaults where it says replace with imported activity. You don't need to worry about that. You can click it or unclick it. It doesn't make a difference because we're about to override all of these numbers. The way we do that is by coming all the way down. Do you see where it says that custom energy target? This is where you're going to type in your number of calories that I give you. So you put in the total amount of the calories that I give you. Once you have written it down, so this is just to make sure I highlight, that's going to be my 1526, okay? You don't need to hit save or anything like that.
when you exit out of it, so I just kind of clicked at the top, and up at the top on the left hand corner where it says targets, once I exit out of that, you're gonna go ahead and it'll save itself. Notice how my weight goal has 150, and obviously this is not my target weight, but I just completely ignore it because once again, the only thing I'm trying to keep track of are my calories and my macronutrients. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that target at the top left hand corner for it to save. Now up next, you go to the macronutrient settings, and then in here you've got to make sure a few things are in line. Make sure that at the top where it says set macros using, make sure you hit fixed values on that one. Okay, now in here we're going to track the grams of each of the macronutrients, so make sure it's not kcals, make sure it's grams. Okay, in here you're going to put in the number of grams that I give you for each. And lastly, all the way at the bottom where it says track carbohydrates as, you want to make sure these are the total amount of carbohydrates in there. Once again, once you click up at the top left hand corner where it says targets, and you click add up all everything, it'll save itself. The way you can check this is if you go over to the left hand side, if you look next to the plus sign that it's in orange, there's your diary. The numbers should show up in here. Now, don't worry about these rings. They don't really matter, and they really don't tell you anything because a lot of the stuff we have deactivated and with overriding the numbers. So the only numbers, if you scroll to the left, the numbers that you're going to see here, these are the important ones, and these are the ones that you want to keep track of. Depending on what I tell you, whether to pay more attention to the calories, the proteins, the carbs, or the fats, right? We want to get to as close as these numbers, but not over them as possible. So for example,
okay, so for you guys, for everybody in here, the most important number are going to be your calories, okay? So your energy. So whatever you do not go over that amount, okay? After that, the second most important number is going to be protein. So if you can try to really, really hit that number every single day, you will really get some amazing results, okay? In terms of carbohydrates and fats, they're going to fluctuate a lot, okay? So we're going to go ahead and make sure that if, for example, if one day you have, over 100% on your carbohydrates, let's say you have 110%, but your fats don't go over 100, okay, meaning your calories didn't go over the calories, right? So that's actually okay. Don't worry about the carbohydrates and fats as much as the protein. Okay. Now, like I said, this video is available to everybody, so I want to make sure that you guys can go back and finish it. The rest is just a few more tricks that I have to be more accurate. Okay. Now, but I want to make sure I get to my peeps that have the following conditions. Okay. For my perimenopause people out there. Okay. So perimenopause in both PCOS and menopause are highlighted by a symptom called insulin resistance. It means your body can't really process carbohydrates as well because your estrogen is lowering down. Okay. Now, estrogen is directly correlated to carbohydrate metabolism, so how your body breaks down carbohydrates. Now, if you're taking HRT, okay, which you guys will know if you are, if you're not taking taking HRT and are in perimenopause or menopause, then follow this. But if you are taking HRT, just then do the regular numbers because that hormone replacement therapy is overriding what is going on in your body in terms of your carbohydrate metabolism. So if you're undergoing HRT, just do what we just calculated. But if you're not, okay, for my perimenopause people, so I'm going to put you guys in blue. Okay, look. Okay, I want you to consume 130 grams of carbohydrates per day. Okay, now notice that this is the grams, so you would go 130 grams carbs or carbohydrates here. So instead of 140, okay. But then you would have to make sure you recalculate this, add them up all over here, and then you would, recalculate this. Okay, so for my perimenopause people, you would calculate your protein first, okay? Set that 130, calculate the calories, and then in order to calculate the fats, you would have to subtract or add these two numbers and subtract the sum from your overall calorie intake for that day, okay? If you are in PCOS, or menopause, I'm going to write you guys in red, okay? You guys, so the science on you guys shows you that you guys do best with anywhere between 80 to 100 grams of carbohydrates per day. Okay. I would recommend that you guys start at 100. If you guys feel good, fine with energy, then you start, you're like, hey, Carla, I actually feel really good, with 100. Try to see if you can do 90 the next week. And then try to see if you can do 80 the next week. Okay. Here are the signs that your body may not be doing well with less carbohydrates. Is if you start getting symptoms of hypoglycemia, so like fogginess, right? You almost feel like you're like seeing underwater and you can't concentrate. You're having headaches, right? Those are signs that your brain needs more carbohydrates. In which case, stick to that 100. Okay. Now, for my no gallbladder person, you are actually the opposite. Your body cannot process as much of the fats because you're going to, you are, and actually I want to make sure of something. So my gallbladder person, can you let me know how many days per week you're working out? Thank you. Okay. So perfect. Okay. So for you, I want you to calculate. So go back into the recording, right? And calculate your fat intake at 25% instead of that 30. Okay. So 25% of that total daily calories. So in that case, I think mine was like 1528. I will multiply this by 0.25. And whatever number that gives me, that's going, you remember now this number, whatever number that gives you, right? You're going to divide this by 9. That's how many grams you're going to do. And then you would have to do the opposite with the carbohydrates, right? So so I'm going to put you in green, okay? Whatever that number that it gives you. Sorry about that. Okay. You would change it from this number, okay, which means you multiply this number by 9, which would give you the calories. So then you would have to add up the calories from the fats and the protein and subtract that from your total calories. And that's how many calories are going to be going towards the carb. Okay. Really, 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 really important. Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. So hopefully that helped you guys kind of really get down in terms of how your macronutrient breakdown is going to go. Okay. Now, another thing that I'll say in closing before I take any questions. Depending on what type of carbohydrates you guys consume throughout the month, at the end of the month, right? This is where I talked about how your weight can fluctuate a little bit, is because certain carbohydrates retain water inside of you. So once we eat them, they make you retain water, which affects that number on the scale, because that number on the scale is a sum of 4 numbers. Remember, it's your bone weight, how much your bones weigh, how much your muscles weight, how much your fat weighs in the water that's inside of you, because we're made up of around 70% water. Okay. So if you hold more water, you're going to be heavier on that scale. Okay. Remember, really, really, really important. I'm going to give you guys a few nuggets for those of you guys that say that here. Water is super important for fat loss, super important for weight loss, because if you consistently drink the amount of water that you're supposed to drink, you will flush out any excess water. And what is that water? Okay, that differs for every person. Okay, for that one, it's going to be whatever weight your current weight is. So in this case, my weight was 150. Okay, and you're going to divide that by 2. So in the case of my 75, that's how many ounces I need minimum. Okay. Now I'm not going to include the water that I drink during my workouts. This is going to be outside of my workouts, everything else, because this is in order to optimize fat loss. Okay. All righty, guys. Any questions that anybody has in terms of anything? And I'm going to actually pull this up. It's from a presentation that I gave you guys. So as I wait for any questions to come through, I'm going to put this up in big so you guys can see it. So in this QR code, you guys can reach out to me, schedule a consultation. There's 3 links in this QR code. The first one is to schedule that consultation, right? The other 2 are social media channels. In there, I have a lot of resources for you guys outside of that YouTube channel to help you guys. So there's a lot of videos that I made in there to help those people that are trying to achieve weight loss, fat loss in this case, okay? But I want to make sure I address any questions that anybody may have in the last couple of minutes that we have. Good. If anybody else would like me to, look over at your squat jumps, right, or your push-ups or anything else, I'll be more than happy to do that now as well. For water, I have somebody asking me for water. Why don't I use? I know there's an equation out there. That often says for every calorie that you consume, that's how many milligrams of water that you do. It's because we're not in the hospital setting. Okay, that equation was just like the Mifflin. That equation is for hospital use. And we are not in the hospital. All right, you guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I can't wait to see you guys next month. So next month we'll go over how we're gonna rearrange those numbers. If anybody encountered any problems, we'll use that time to troubleshoot, and I'll keep adding on some nuggets as to how training is. So hopefully, I wish you guys the best for this. For from now until, like to say yes. I iPhone number using number 9. Go ahead, and I would love to stay for a couple of minutes and chat with you. So excited for everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming. I truly appreciate your presence.